Hello, welcome to Spirit Talk. My name's Jean Ramasiati. Today we're going to explore a book that's been written by someone who lives right here in the Bay Area. The name of the book is Tapping into God. And I have with me the author, Debbie Belmessieri, and two of the contributors to the book, B.J. King and Father Jose Antonio Rubio. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
First of all, let's just find out a little about each of you. So, Debbie, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and a little bit about your spiritual path.
Sure. I was born in San Francisco. I'm a native. Grew up on the peninsula. I was a cradle Catholic. Still love the Catholic Church. And I've been living down in San Jose for about 30 years now with my daughter. I have a 23-year-old beautiful daughter, Michelle. And I've been working on my own business. I have an espresso coffee business. Been doing that for about 5 years. Very fun. And just finished putting my book out about a month ago.
Good, I bet you're excited about that.
I am very excited, yes.
Okay, BJ, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I moved out here about 40 years ago because it was just too cold. I'm a religious science practitioner with the Center for Spiritual Living, same center that Debbie goes to in San Jose. I'm a motivational speaker and coach, and I do workshops and play shops to help people live the life that they really want to live.
Busy woman.
Yes.
Great. And Father Rubio, how about you? Although I do know you.
Yes, I've been on the show before, so some people might remember me, but I'm Jose Antonio Rubio. Like Debbie, I was born in the city and in San Francisco, and I'm a Catholic priest. I've been a priest for 32 years, and I teach theology at St. Patrick's Seminary here in Menlo Park.
Great. Oh, thanks. Glad you came. All right, so Debbie, okay, the book. So tell me, why did you write this book and where did you get the idea?
Well, it's an interesting story how this came about. About 2.5 years ago, I was with my daughter at a seminar. It was on business opportunities, business ideas, and we were about halfway into it, and I was getting ready to go into the seminar that day. I was actually in the shower, and this idea for this book came to me. It was very much of a divine inspiration. It came to me all at one time. I just received the title, the format, what the purpose of it was, everything. And it was just very clear. It was almost like a mandate. This is something you're going to do.
Well, what's the book about?
It's about spiritual diversity. It's kind of like a short course on spiritual diversity. And what I did was I started out with the senior minister at the Center for Spiritual Living and talked to him about it, gave him the idea. And then it kind of rippled out from there. I started going to the yellow pages and looking up churches, cold calling ministers. And what I did was I gave everyone basically the same direction. I said, what does connection to God look like from your faith perspective, from your religion?
And did you want him to write a personal essay or did you give him freedom to write whatever they wanted to?
I really gave everybody a lot of freedom. It was kind of carte blanche. And what I ended up with was 28 different authors from a very, very wide variety, wide spectrum of faith practices and belief systems. And some ended up being very personal. There are some very, very inspiring stories in here of a very deeply personal nature. And there are some that are not quite so personal. But everyone, I believe, did a very, very heartfelt job at writing on this. Everything that came through here was just very much from the heart.
And
was
so,
wonderful.
did your list keep growing, or
Yes.
or how did you figure out which ones to choose?
Well, I pretty much took everybody that came along.
Oh.
I started with the small group of people, and then people started referring me to their friends and to other people. And I actually ended up with several chapters in here from traditions or religions that I didn't even know existed, which was kind of exciting. And then as I got more and more into it, I ended up with, I believe, 32 people. I've lost a couple along the way.
What's a sample of the different, the diversity? What's the sample of the different traditions that you have in there?
Well, we have traditional religions like Catholicism, evangelical Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism. Most of the major religions are represented. And then we have some of the new thought churches like Unity, Centers for Spiritual Living. Let's see, what else is there?
You also have Wicca in there.
Wicca,
also. Yes,
right?
yeah.
Goddess,
Buddhism.
goddess spirituality.
Mormons, too.
Mormons, yeah. I probably
You
can't
know.
remember all 28 right now, but there's
It's really
a
great.
lot.
Like the parts that I got to read, I learned so much in just that short time. I
Yes.
like the fact that they're only like 4 or 10 pages long each essay, so you
Right.
can read them in one sitting. So
Right,
that's
and really get the
great.
flavor of that belief system.
And how did you arrange them? Did you group them by Christians and Jews and?
Well, no, I thought about doing that, and I decided that that was way too subjective for me to try to organize based on,
Yeah.
conservative, liberal, new thought, whatever. So I ended up putting them all in alphabetical order by author's last name. That was the
What a
only safe
great
thing I could think of.
idea. What a
That's
great
why I ended up at the last.
That's why
That's why.
you're the R.
You were at the end of the line there, yes.
Okay, so I see that you brought 2 of the contributors.
Yes, I
so-
did. BJ wrote a delightful chapter on gratitude as a spiritual connection, and Father Jose wrote a beautiful chapter on the Catholic perspective on tapping into God. I'd love to hear a little bit about how you guys went through that process, what you got from it.
Well, when you approached me about it, I said yes first, and then I thought about what am I going to write? And somehow the word gratitude came to me. And the reason that I feel that that is so important is when I get out of bed every morning, the first thing I say is, thank you, God, that I can take care of myself, that I can walk and talk. And I go through my day in gratitude. Even when something bad happens, I am very grateful that nothing worse happened. And so that's how I started writing the chapter, was on gratitude.
And I thought that was wonderful, because I had never thought about that as a chapter for this. So when you brought that to my attention, I thought that was wonderful, perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
And so, Father Rubio, what about you? What came to you? What did you decide to write about?
Well, I first heard about the project from an email from Debbie asking me about it. And I was just fascinated with the idea of having, and I thought when Debbie called me, she said she wanted as many people from as many different religious traditions. I thought maybe there'd be 100 different chapters, and I thought that was just exciting. And so then I started thinking, what am I going to say? What are some of the key concepts of the Catholic tradition? And then I thought, well, really Catholic is, it's not just the Catholic, it's kind of Christian ideas, and really then it went Judeo-Christian, and then I wasn't quite sure what to say. So I asked Debbie, because I came in like halfway through the project, to send me one that was already finished. And she sent me an essay that someone else had written that was already finished, and I kind of followed that pattern and came up with my chapter. And it was, I don't know, it's just a really nice idea, I thought, this variety. And I really, looking at it, because I've only had the book now for about 2 days, and looking here and there, what most impressed me is just the variety of religious experiences. And it impressed me that it was kind of like a mosaic, all different tiles, different colors.
Right.
And then it just, when you see the whole thing, it's just a very beautiful picture of all these different little ideas and different ways and methods.
That's a lovely description.
It is.
I like
It
that
really
very
is.
much.
So Debbie, what would be the main message that you'd like that you were trying to convey to the readers?
That's one of the things that came to me very clearly when I got this inspiration, that there were 2 messages that I wanted to convey. One was that I believe that there are a lot of commonalities, a lot of common threads that run through the different belief systems and religions that we have as a human family. And my intention with this was to illustrate that, and I purposely did not put my own interpretations of anything in here. I've left that up to the reader. But my hope is that people will read this and start seeing more of the commonalities that we have and less of the differences, and focus more on that. And the other thing that I was really hoping that will come through with this is that because it's such a wide smorgasbord of beliefs and traditions here, I'm hoping that people that are seeking some kind of spiritual connection will pick this up and something will resonate with them in their heart. And I'm hoping that people will read this actually from a heart space, less from a head space, so they can really connect.
Yeah, how long did it take you to write this book?
2.5 years. It was a lot longer. I was very naive at the beginning, thinking that I was going to have this all wrapped up in 6 or 8 months. And I got laughed at by a couple people on that one.
Not me, though.
Not you. No, I had one person laugh at me and said, "You're talking 2 to 3 years," and he was exactly on the nose with that.
So most of the contributors were willing and cooperative,
Oh,
right?
everybody was delighted. That's one of the things that was just so joyful for me, was as I just got more and more into like collecting people and their different religious perspectives, it was such a joy to work with them, and everyone seemed to just be thrilled to have this platform from which to speak about their faith and their beliefs.
Well, I would
Everybody was
think, yeah,
excited.
that they're all very spiritual
Sure.
and loving people.
Yeah.
So, BJ, tell us a little bit about, some more about the content of your essay. And I think you told me an anecdote that was really great about when your car broke down.
Yes, about 2 years ago this month, I was on my way. It was early morning. I was on my way to do a workshop in Sunnyvale, and I got to a stoplight, and my car started just vibrating. So I pulled into a gas station, and I looked at my heat gauge, and it was hot. So I pulled into a gas station, and they put something in there, and they said, okay, it should be all right. I got 2 blocks away, and it started doing that again. So I pulled over, I called AAA, they towed it to my mechanic. My mechanic had someone take me home, and I got on the computer, and I wrote to my practitioner friends and other friends and said, we need prayer, we need it now, my car has died, I want the repair to be very easy and cost effective. About half hour later, the mechanic called and said, BJ, I'm going to recommend that you don't fix this car. It's over 15 years old, and it has more than 175,000 miles. It's not worth it. And I just said, okay. So I got back on the computer, and I wrote to these same people, car can't be fixed. I need a new car, preferably a free car. But I want one that runs well, has low mileage, and is very comfortable. And about an hour later, a friend of mine called and said, I just saw your prayer request. A friend of ours has a car, she's going into assisted living, and she's ready to sell it.
Oh my God.
So I went to see it the next day, and we negotiated, and I've been driving it ever since. And all I could say is, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God.
That's a lovely story.
And you started with the gratitude.
I started with gratitude, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh gosh.
So that's my way of
So
tapping
yeah,
into
you
God, is through gratitude.
had a lot about prayer.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, because
So-
I feel it's important.
So Jose, what about yours? What was your idea about? Was it your personal idea about God, or?
What struck me was that Debbie's title was Tapping into God. And I guess what kind of I focused on was that really God has started by tapping into us. So my focus was God has taken the initiative to get in touch with us, and we need to listen, and then we need to respond. And so that was the kind of the gist of my idea. It's not that we need to find God, find out where He is, and get in touch with God. It's God has taken the initiative, has gotten in touch with us. We need to listen to what God says, and then we can respond. Because so many times we're just talking all the time that we don't give God a chance to talk to us, because we're talking and talking and talking, we can't hear. So we need to listen and then respond.
Right.
Yes.
And you said something about that you were glad that you were hoping that a lot of younger people picked up the book, right?
Yes, I think this book really will appeal to people of all ages. I think for a lot of people, when you get into your teens and your 20s, that's the time that I started kind of wandering away from the Catholic Church a little bit and questioning the information that I grew up with. And I think this would have been a wonderful thing for me to have been able to pick up at that time in my life, and had a chance to look at some different things that were out there and find something that maybe resonated with me. So I think that this would appeal to people of all ages. And then as people get older, sometimes they go through transitions because of their own life experience and start again maybe questioning the teachings, or just looking for something that resonates with them a little bit more.
Now, did you, what were some other essays that kind of stood out for you, or what did you learn from?
Oh, wow.
reading?
It's hard to say what stood out because they all stood out. They were all beautiful in their own way. But what I learned, what I got from this, Jean, was I softened a lot on my own biases, because that's another thing that came to me right after I got this inspiration, was not a voice, but just a knowing that this is for my healing. And at first I was kind of like, what's that about? Because I've always thought that I was pretty open-minded, but apparently not so much. And so as I went through these, there were some things that didn't quite resonate with me, but I did learn from all these people that there is a place for all of these belief systems in our world. Everywhere from, very conservative to not so much. There's a place for everything, and there is something that will resonate with everyone. So I really softened a lot on my own biases.
So would you two agree that this is like a short course in spiritual diversity, this book?
I would think so, and I also believe, I like the word that you use, softened, because there's so many people that have been so rigid all of their life about their religion. It's this way or no way. And with tapping into God, it gives you a broader perspective, and to know that there is more out there. And let's take a look, see what else is out there. Not that you have to leave your religion, but let's just open up and see what else is out there, which will help us maybe understand people in other countries.
Yes.
With their religious beliefs and so forth. So I feel that this is a mosaic. I feel that it's a great learning tool for all people to broaden their broaden their idea of what religion is, and know that it's more than just one thing.
Yes.
So you hear people a lot say, all religions are alike. And when you read this, you discover they're not.
They're
I mean,
not
there's
at
a
all.
great variety. That's why I like this mosaic idea. There's a great variety. It's not true that all religions are alike.
No.
Right, and I know you say tapping into God, but a few of the, what would you say, traditions or the faith communities, they don't actually believe in God, but they gave their viewpoint, right, of God, or
Yes.
maybe it was just the word God.
It's the word God, I think, that trips people up a lot. And I've been asked by people, why did you call it tapping into God as opposed to tapping into spirit or tapping into source, energy, or one of the hundreds of names we can use? And I used the word God blatantly because I felt it was more generic and more people could relate to it. But again, like Father Jose said, when you read it, you'll see that there are people that do not ever use the word God, and that's perfectly fine.
But most of them did mention the word God.
Yes, they did.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
My friend Asha, she wrote a chapter, and
Right.
she clarified a lot of what Ananda is about.
Yes.
I had
That's a great chapter.
never seen it in writing before, but we resonate so much. We actually meditate together
Oh, wonderful.
once in a while. So it was just so good to see an explanation of that tradition.
Right.
I like that.
And in the Buddhist chapter by Drime Gudmundsen, she writes about how the Buddhists do not actually use the word God, but she relates all the qualities of God
Right.
Oh, okay.
in that same manner. So
That's
you
right,
can
yeah.
totally integrate what she's saying about that spiritual aspect without using the word God.
What I have learned, and I know this may upset a few people, but what I have learned is that God doesn't care what you call it. It's how you relate to God.
Oh, okay.
Following
Okay.
the commandments and doing right by other people, taking care of yourself and then taking care of other people, because we are all brothers and sisters.
Yes. Absolutely.
Anything to add to all that? Being very involved in interfaith for so many years.
Well, I see this as the start of a whole series. This was about spirituality and how different faith traditions look at spirituality. But you could do the same thing with moral issues. You could do the same thing with a host of religious issues. You could do it with other aspects of worship. You could do it with how we see human beings. You could do it what we think happens to us after this life,
Oh,
whether
that
there
would be
is or there isn't,
fascinating.
and
I
how
love
it works.
that.
Oh, yeah.
I love
So
that.
it could be just the beginning of a whole series of books on how different faith traditions look at different aspects of reality, of the cosmos, of the way things are.
I really like that idea of looking at like
Yes.
tapping into death or something like
Yeah,
that.
so-
Tapping in there, looking at that whole idea, because I know there's a lot of diversity about that too.
That's true.
Are you ready
would be
to start
fun.
on another
Well,
one?
I have a list already of about 15 more religions that I
Oh, you do
for a
15 more
sequel, but I
religions?
like
Oh, my
that idea
goodness.
very much.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of reminds
Yeah.
me, kind of been the reason that I started this show 11 years ago was to bring all the different opinions from the different religions. And one of my shows was, Asha was on it actually. I had a Buddhist, a Christian, a Hindu, and we talked about what happens when you die.
Oh, that would
And
be
that,
fascinating.
so this would give like 28 opinions.
Right.
Yeah.
What happens
Yeah.
when you die, right?
Right.
That would,
That would be fun.
yeah, so I hope that you consider going on.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you. I like that one. Gives me a
But
lot more work to do. Thank you.
Yeah, but tell me, Debbie, how does somebody get your book? It's
Well,
just hot off the press, right?
It's hot off the press, and there are a couple different ways. It's on Amazon and it's on Barnes & Noble. And there also is a website that I put together. It's www.tappingintogodbook.com. And if on that website, I've been doing a blog also, going through the whole book, talking about
Oh, that's
the
good,
inception of it and the different chapters. And then they can also order the book through the website also.
Great.
So.
Okay, so can you believe it? We're getting close to the end, but
Wow. This went fast.
just want to ask you, where do you think spirituality is going on the planet? Are the people getting more spiritual, or do they think they don't need spirit? Or what's your opinion of what's going on?
I think people are becoming more spiritual. They're realizing how important some form of spirituality is in their life. And with the way things are going right now, we all need to tap into God.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that this will be a recommended reading from high school on through college and so forth. Congress needs this book. Congress needs this book.
Let's send it to
that's
them.
for
We'll
sure.
send it to them. I like that.
So, I just get so tired of hearing that tri-statement, I'm spiritual but not religious.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do we need religion? Organized religion anyway?
I think you can be a very spiritual person without being part of an organized religion. But I also think organized religion is wonderful. It serves a function.
Right.
There is a function for that
There
for a lot of
is.
people. There's a
There
sense of
is.
community. No matter what kind of organized religion it is, it serves as a community for people. I think people need that.
What about, do you have an opinion about that?
Well, one of the things I said in my article was that where we find God speaking to us is in the community. So I personally don't see, my emphasis is that we do need a community and we do need some faith tradition that I think as human beings we're connected to other human beings.
Yes.
And it's never a question of me and God, it's always a question of all of us together with God.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, well, to me, it's like this, I like that word softening,
Yeah.
Yeah.
softening the relationships between the different churches
Yes.
and
Yes.
Absolutely.
lowering the fear of,
Right.
and then also not different traditions getting together and not proselytizing, like not trying to get the other people to join theirs. Like
Right.
you
Right.
talk about that.
Right.
That it's not a good thing when people are trying to push their religion on everybody else.
Right.
Exactly.
And
So I just came back from a trip, and one of the things I love to travel, and one of the things that to me is important is traveling. And as you get to know different faith traditions, it's like traveling. And when you travel, it broadens you. When you're in a
Yes.
different country, you just get so broad. And as you
Yes.
know different faith traditions, your attitudes change, and you become much more accepting, much more understanding.
Yes.
Yes.
Softening is the, I like that
Yeah.
word.
I like
I
the
like
word
that
softening.
very
And I like
Yeah.
the accepting too, because I think the more we accept diversity and we can move away from fear of the unknown, fear of people who are different, and we can move more into just accepting and being comfortable with each other. And I think that's a huge thing. I think we need that very much right now.
Yeah, so to me, it's just like the more that we do this, the more we closer we're going to be, and and we got unity. You talk about
Yes.
unity, right?
Yes.
That was one of
That's one of the chapters in here, yeah.
That's right. So I think there's hope, right?
Yes, absolutely.
absolutely.
Always hope. Yes.
Yeah,
One of the best things that happened to me many years ago is I went to India, and we hired a driver, and he took us to his temple, his Buddhist temple.
Wow.
And I understand that's not something that they normally will do to Westerners. And so I was very honored and very grateful to be able to visit.
It changed your perspective on a lot of things,
It
right?
did. It really did.
Well, like your trip
That's
too. You
wonderful.
just came back from Turkey with a group of Muslim and Christians, right?
And I'm thinking we don't even have to go to another continent or another
Right.
country to travel. We can just visit each other's faith sites, and
Yes.
it's like we're traveling.
Well, especially here in the Bay Area.
Oh, there's
We've
so
got
much here.
everything.
Yes. It's wonderful
Well,
here.
I just want to say thank you for writing this book. I think it's very exciting. Tapping into God, experiencing
yeah.
the spiritual spectrum. I love that
Thank you.
subtitle. Tapping into God. So, Debbie, thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Jean,
coming.
so much for
Thank you,
having
Jean.
us.
Thank you, Jean. This has
Thank
been
you.
wonderful.
And I hope we get together again. And
Absolutely.
ask me to write a little chapter in your book.
All right, you got it.
That will be
You got it.
great. That
Well,
will be
God
great.
bless. And thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for joining Spirit Talk with me, Jean.